Welcome in, everybody. So nice to have you, even though we might have a little bit of a lull here between the NFC Championship game and the true ramp up to football preparations. Even though we have a lull, though, it's given Christian McCaffrey and Kyle Juszczyk a chance to suntan at the 49ers facility and maybe work on their golf swing. They better get the tan in now, though, because the rainstorm is coming to the Bay Area. It was sunny earlier today. That's probably when that video was taken. George Kittle, credit to him. He posted it on social media. But it was sunny earlier today. Then the clouds started moving in. I did my NFC Championship game detox. I swam a couple miles in the bay. It was really cold. I couldn't feel my feet by the time that I was done. Thankfully, toes, everything still intact. Got into the sauna right after. So it was nice. But rainstorm coming. I think there's going to be some rain in the forecast, even in the desert in Las Vegas next week. Good thing is there's a dome on the stadium. That game is going to be indoors. 49ers are going to be practicing at UNLV, though. 49ers are going to have to practice outside, I believe, at UNLV. Meanwhile, because the AFC team has the home designation in this game, they have first pick of jerseys and first pick of practice site. And the Kansas City Chiefs will be practicing at the Raiders team facility, which is in the southern part of Las Vegas. The 49ers a little bit closer to the strip at UNLV. Both teams staying way out by the lake, 16, 17 miles away from the strip. NFL likes to give teams hotels rather further away from all of the action. That way, there's some downtime there. There's a chance at some peace and quiet at the team hotel. Media Center is going to be at Mandalay Bay. Everything party-wise, I'm sure, will be in and around the strip. Airport is obviously close to the strip. Ticket prices are high, and it's not going to be that warm in Vegas. And again, this is not a game weather report. This is those of you who are going for the week weather report. I saw it dipping down to like 38 degrees at night. But I guess it is January 30th right now. It's going to be February when we get there. I'm flying United there and Southwest back. Those were the best times to and from SFO. So that's the update for you on that front. Anyway, let's talk some 49ers today. I had a big article on the BA Ricochet. I know that people like different nicknames. The headline calls it the Immaculate Deflection. So that's what I called it. Some of you wanted to call it the BA Ricochet. A lot of you wanted to call it the Ladybug Catch because of the ladybug that Brandon Aiyuk said fell on his shoe before the game. That's supposed to be good luck. Obviously, 49ers saw some good luck here. I'm going to do something cool with this over the next couple days when I have a little bit more time, because I think there is a firm connection to the San Francisco Giants with this catch. Remember Ian Kinsler in game 2 of the 2010 World Series of the Texas Rangers? Tight game. Giants hadn't won a world championship in San Francisco yet. Kinsler on the opposing team in a scoreless tie hit a deep drive to center field, and it literally bounced off of the top of the wall at what was then, was that AT&T Park at the time? Probably. Or was it still Pac Bell? I think it was AT&T Park by then. Bounces off the top of the fence. Any ball that you hit off the top of the fence, that's going to bounce further forward and out, right, for a home run. The ball bounced backwards into the field of play. Ended up being only a double. Matt Cain was the pitcher for the Giants at the time. He stranded Ian Kinsler. Rangers didn't score. Giants took the lead on an Edgar Renteria home run in the bottom half of that 5th inning. They didn't look back. They won game 2. They beat the Rangers in 5 games, and they were world champions. That little break right there, that was one of those moments of destiny, right? It's one of those moments where you said, hey, baseball gods might be on our side. Well, Trent Williams said at this moment that I show you on the screen, the football gods are on the 49ers side this year. At least that's what Trent Williams thought, and Trent Williams is a lot smarter than me. Trent Williams knows the game, and Trent Williams said that's the moment where the 49ers really started believing that in a situation and for a goal where luck is required, the 49ers might have that luck coming down from the spiritual realm of the game. The San Francisco Giants had another one that I compared this to, and I'll get more into it this week. You guys know I like to go on location to shoot some of these videos. So we'll see if somebody steals my idea first, but I don't think they will because it takes a lot of work. But the other one was Hunter Pence. Hunter Pence hitting a double in the 2012 NLCS Game 7 where the ball hit his bat, or his bat hit the ball 3 separate times in one swing because it shattered the bat, and then fragments of the bat hit the ball twice and then a third time. And that put a bunch of crazy English on the ball. The bases were loaded at the time. And because of the crazy English from the triple hit, we'll call it the Hunter Pence triple hit, that ball confused the shortstop and ended up turning into a double that cleared the bases. The Giants obviously won that game. Then they won the World Series in 2012 against the Detroit Tigers, Detroit's other team. They beat the Detroit Lions with this catch from Brandon Aiyuk. And Hunter Pence was at the game. Hunter Pence has embraced the Bay Area. He lives in San Francisco. He's a big George Kittle fan, and he was going crazy in the suite. Again, I'll get more into this a little bit later this week. All these moments, all these connections will truly be immortalized if the 49ers can finish the job and win the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs. So back to my first update. They're going to be wearing their road white jerseys. Yes, the 49ers have won a Super Bowl wearing the white jerseys. In fact, their most dominant Super Bowl win came in the white jerseys. That was the 1989 season Super Bowl against John Elway and the Denver Broncos. The 49ers won 55-10, New Orleans Superdome against Denver that year. Also, yes, the 49ers' most recent Super Bowl, which also came against the Kansas City Chiefs, they wore the white jerseys in Miami, and obviously they lost that game. But there's nothing cursed about the white jerseys with the gold pants. The NFL doesn't let you wear throwbacks. The 49ers made a brief push to go all white, 94 throwbacks for the last Super Bowl. It was led by Richard Sherman, but the league shut it down really quick. The league, they already have all this merchandise that says Super Bowl 58 on it and all these jerseys. They can't just switch to the alternate uniforms. The league pre-designates games during the regular season for the alternate uniforms, but you can't expect them to move on the fly, not with as much money as we see at stake for some of these things. So the 49ers are going to wear the white with the gold pants, the Chiefs red with the white pants. It's going to look, as far as the uniform matchup goes, like Super Bowl 54. And the 49ers hope that it doesn't look the same way on the scoreboard. Before the game against the Detroit Lions, the NFC Championship, I wrote about Javon Kinlaw. It ended up being a very, very timely article because Javon Kinlaw is one of the reasons why the 49ers are now in the Super Bowl. Kinlaw's game against the Detroit Lions might fly under the radar of casual football fans, but he made plays at about 4 or 5 absolutely critical junctures, and it's hard to argue that the 49ers would have won without the plays that he made. Before, remember, Detroit had a backup left guard in. Jonah Jackson was hurt out of this football game. So it was really important that the 49ers capitalize on that position. Javon Kinlaw, from his 3-technique spot, lines up against that left guard very, very frequently. So the turning point of the game was the 4th down from the 28-yard line. Javon Kinlaw delivered a pressure on that play against left guard that forced Jared Goff to move before he threw that pass into the very, very tight window to Josh Reynolds. Reynolds dropped the ball, but I don't know how that goes if there's not a pressure there on that play from Javon Kinlaw. Jared Goff has a lot easier time. Doesn't have to shuffle in the pocket, tries to squeeze one through a really tight window. Play before that, Javon Kinlaw had a run stop to force the 4th down. And then you go later in the game. This is on the 3rd and 1. I think this essentially sealed the game for the 49ers. The Lions had all 3 timeouts. They were trying to run the ball into the end zone. But Javon Kinlaw came from the backside and stuffed Detroit short of the end zone. We all know that Dan Campbell called a timeout after that with about a minute left before going for it on 4th down. Yes, the Lions did score the touchdown, but because they burned a timeout, they were not able to get the ball back from the 49ers with less than a minute left. They failed the onside kick. So just those 3 Javon Kinlaw plays were absolutely massive in this football game. He's turned into a top half pass rusher amongst defensive tackles this year. And the 49ers are going to need him really, really badly in the Super Bowl. The reason that I bring this up is because it's a great illustration of not judging a book too early. Read through the chapters of the novel before you say that the novel is a bust. Javon Kinlaw could not help the injuries that he suffered. But instead, while he was taking arrows from people who didn't know better on the outside, or even some that did know better, while Kinlaw was taking these arrows, he was grinding. He was suffering. He was persevering behind the scenes. He was doing stuff that was a whole lot harder than most of what all of us are going to do on a day-to-day basis. And he was going through setbacks to amplify the difficulty of it. Eric Armstead, meanwhile, one of the 49ers veteran leaders who went through similar things as Javon Kinlaw in his first few years in the NFL. He was hurt in 2016, hurt in 2017. Eric Armstead helped Javon Kinlaw behind the scenes. He became a guiding light for Javon Kinlaw as he was going through these really rough times. Chris Kasarik, too, was a guiding light, the 49ers defensive line coach. I featured all of them in this big article that came out right before the NFC Championship game. And then Kinlaw and Armstead lined up next to each other. And in that second half where the 49ers put the pressure on the Lions and made the comeback, both of them made a big impact. And I think it's safe to say that the 49ers wouldn't be in the Super Bowl without Javon Kinlaw. I don't know what the future holds. And I really only, and people should only really care about the short-term future right now. And that's, what is Javon Kinlaw going to do against the Kansas City Chiefs? Because the 49ers really need him. I don't know what the future holds beyond that. His contract expires after this season. He's starting to really put up some good tape and numbers now. It's been a fully healthy season. There are people that said that Javon Kinlaw's knee wasn't ready for the NFL. Instead of just acknowledging that he had some bad luck with injuries, well, if his knee wasn't ready for the NFL, he wouldn't have just played a 19 or 20 game NFL season with the Super Bowl coming up fully healthy. The fact that Kinlaw has proven he can get through a full season healthy might make him very interesting to other teams. I would say that the 49ers are certainly interested in bringing him back, but he's not an A-list player. Nobody's going out and saying he's an A-list player, and that's the type of player that the 49ers will fork over big money to. They're happy to sign B and C listers and re-sign those guys if they can get them at a bargain rate. But as far as shelling out massive cash, that money's probably going to be reserved for Brandon Aiyuk this offseason. So it's TBD to see whether or not Javon Kinlaw will fit within the 49ers structure. I would also say it's TBD to see whether or not Chase Young would fit within the 49ers structure. Young right now is a player that's taken a lot of arrows, including a fake social media report that says that the 49ers want to bench him. He had a few plays in this game that weren't great, and I don't think that anybody was giving great effort on the touchdown at the start of the game to Jamison Williams on the reverse. But Chase Young also quietly had some big run stops in this football game at a pressure. People that are faulting him for not having enough pressures in this game need to realize that Steve Wilkes was dropping Chase Young back into coverage a handful of times over the course of Sunday's game. I don't think that he played a particularly good game, but I don't think that Chase Young was horrifically bad either. You got to look at the tape and see that. Would the 49ers like more out of that spot opposite Nick Bosa? Of course. Did they pay a massive amount to get Chase Young? No. What do they send? A conditional third-round pick over to Washington? They're paying him $562,000 of cap money this year. This was a low-cost bargain acquisition with potentially a lot of upside. The 49ers have seen some of that upside. I don't think that they've seen it overly consistently, but it's not like they're paying Chase Young $10 million this year. Both he and Randy Gregory came really cheap for the 49ers as this team is doing what it can to fortify the edge spot opposite Nick Bosa. And I will have to say that Chase Young did play better in that second half than a lot of people are giving him credit for. Anyway, why don't we go back to McCaffrey and Juszczyk things at practice? Because this actually happened. The city of San Francisco, by the way, as soon as we get done with this, as soon as we get done with Christian McCaffrey practicing his golf swing, the city of San Francisco, after the legacy win for the 49ers, they're starting to light it up in red and gold again. Here's Ghirardelli Square, the former chocolate factory. Iconic sign right at the aquatic park near Fort Mason, red and gold. This is the water that I swam in today. We went all the way, I'm going to pause it, went all the way out of this cove beyond the pier. So we swam out the opening to that. You guys see that opening right at the right side? So I'm out that opening, out toward the Golden Gate Bridge, and all the way to the piers that you see on the left in the distance. There are 4 of them. Went past all 4, and then you could swim under the piers through these little tunnels in the water and back under this pier, swam all the way back to the spot that I took this video from. We were swimming for 53 minutes, and some of it was counter current, so it was brutal. But anyway, the reason I have this video is because Ghirardelli is lit up in red and gold. There are going to be other landmarks in San Francisco lit up. I spied the Embarcadero Center lit up today. I could find that one for you. The Embarcadero Center is a series of skyscrapers in the financial district or near the financial district. They stretch from about the ferry building to the financial district. And you'll see here that it's just over here. One of the skyscrapers and then the one's over there. The trim is red and gold. Maybe tougher to see in that photo. Maybe if I zoom in a bit. By the way, this building is owned by Francis Ford Coppola on the right, the director of The Godfather. This is one of the more iconic buildings in the middle in America. It's the Transamerica Pyramid. But this Flatiron style building, it's Francis Ford Coppola's building. And then the Embarcadero Center has that 49ers trim on it. If you want to see more colors after the 49ers legacy win, this is from earlier. I took this video before the 49ers played the Packers. This is San Francisco City Hall in red and gold. I also took video of Coit Tower. I'm going around the city, especially these next couple of days before the 49ers resume their practice. I'm going around the city and just getting some of the footage, talking to business owners, talking to friends around the city to give everybody an idea of what the feel is, because obviously the 49ers have taken over the conscience of the area, and we don't play sports for nothing. We play sports because they mean something to people. I said before the NFC Championship game on Twitter, I think a lot of people agreed with me, said, you're nervous because this means something to you. Well, it means something to the city. It means something to the businesses. It means something, to the people who have watched the 49ers since the 50s at Kezar Stadium. 1957, they lost to the Lions after leading 24-7 at halftime. There were people who watched this game, 49ers coming back from the 24-7 deficit, who were at Kezar back in 1957, who saw the 49ers blow that lead. They're probably there with their dads, maybe their grandfathers. And they probably saw how much that loss hurt some people who were big 49ers fans. So to see a win here in this year in 2024 with that poetic parallel structure, with the 49ers coming back from the same deficit that they blew in 1957 against the Lions, that's what this is all about. That's why this was a legacy win for the 49ers. Mind-blowing Kezar parallels. A collapse for the Lions, but, yesterday I put this up, 24 hours later, Detroit's collapse, and somebody was like, why is it all about the Lions collapse? And the rest of the media, it might be, but I talk about the Lions collapse, and my context is the 49ers created it. The 49ers are a juggernaut. I've been saying it all season long. In fact, maybe we should get out the team tier chart here and really put some perspective and context on this matchup against the Kansas City Chiefs, because we can put the entire postseason into play now with the team tier chart. So this is why the 49ers are favored by 1, but every passing week gives the 49ers a bigger lead in this graphic. This includes the conference championship games. So obviously the 49ers defense has not been a great unit this year. It's been above average, but it hasn't been great. There's a lot of teams who have better defensive efficiency than the 49ers, especially after the Lions were through with them in a 31-point effort. So that's the vertical axis. The 49ers are a little bit above the average line, which is this horizontal red dotted line. But look how damn good the 49ers offense is. It is way out here. So the 49ers are in tier 1. Tier 2 teams were Baltimore, Dallas, arguably Buffalo, and the Chiefs are a tier 3 team. The Chiefs, by the way, back in the Super Bowl in 2019 against the 49ers were probably somewhere around here. Offense, really good, number one in the league. Defense, slightly below average. So the Chiefs have gone from a tier 2 to a tier 3 team because they're not as good offensively, but they've improved defensively. If the Chiefs had been worse defensively this year, if they had been about the same defense that they had been in 2019, paired with a worse offense, they'd be like the Rams or the Bucks on this chart. But the Chiefs are now up here. But the point is that the 49ers are clearly ahead of Kansas City on the team tier chart, which is a big, big deal. All right, I'm ready to take some questions. 49ers Q&A is officially open. Questions, questions, questions. Eric Gomes says, let's hear them, and I agree with him. Let us go. Mike also says, post your questions. Mike always says that. Mike asks, how cool was it to be on with Rich Eisen? It was cool today. So I did Pat McAfee last week, did Rich Eisen today, a bunch of clips of that on YouTube. We talked about Brock Purdy. We talked about Christian McCaffrey. We talked about the 49ers season. And hopefully we'll have more of both of those coming up soon. Do I feel that in 2 weeks I'll be revealing that number 17 jersey for you? If the 49ers win, that jersey back there will be flipped around. You will see the back of it. But the 49ers do need to win the Super Bowl for that to happen. That is the deal. Yes, I will be at the Super Bowl. My plans for the Super Bowl are Sunday flight to Las Vegas, and I'm going to be there for 8 days. I'll be there until the Monday after the Super Bowl. So you could probably catch me at some point during that long week. Appreciate you, Daniel. That was a fun appearance on the Rich Eisen show today. The back of the jersey. Yeah, we have the answer for the back of the jersey. Jersey 17, nameplate, NFC Championship game deficit overcome. Hey, I was just predicting that the whole time. I knew I got a copy of this season's NFL script early, guys, and that's what I had stitched on the back of the jersey. Submarine Center sandwich. Ooh, that's a good one. I'm going to have to get out to West Portal to the Submarine Center. I'm adding that to the list. I'm hitting a bunch of places this week. My last one was probably last year at around this time. That's a great spot. And I've got a little something cooking up for the Super Bowl. Cooking up, pun intended, because food. But I've got something coming up for the Super Bowl, and we'll have it for you. It's going to be nice. Did you guys see the prediction from Chuck's Flavor Train? He's an Instagram social media celebrity. He has an awesome page. Check out Chuck's Flavor Train. He lives up in Vallejo. I saw him in the parking lot at Levi's. He saw me. We made eye contact. We're like, okay, it's time to collaborate. So we did a prediction before the NFC Championship game with Chuck's Flavor Train. He picked the 49ers to win. He was correct. And we're probably going to loop Chuck's Flavor Train back in on this show. Go for broke. There are 37 players on the 49ers 53-man roster who weren't even alive the last time the 49ers won a Super Bowl, which was 29 years ago, yesterday. Hopefully in 2 weeks, Go for broke says, that number goes down to 0. What a fact. I'm scrolling down big time here because the messages are coming in fast. What 49ers defensive lineman has to step up most in the Super Bowl? I think they want to see more. I think they want to see more pop out of Chase Young. They're not benching him. That's ridiculous. But they need the bookends to Bosa to be a monstrous thing. That's what made life really difficult for Patrick Mahomes in the last Super Bowl. Mahomes wasn't having a great game through about 3.5 quarters. So I think, and also that they have to be better against the run with Javon Hargrave. Hargrave is a really good pass rusher. I don't think he's been really great against the run. I think, Kinlaw also hadn't been great against the run, but he made some really big stops for the 49ers on Sunday. We can compare Aiyuk's catch with a catch in 82. It will go down as one of the greats. Maybe, but I mean, I wrote the entire article about it today, and it's just one of those things where my main conclusion was this is going to be a catch that people absolutely remember, but the extent to which they remember it is going to be determined by if the 49ers win the Super Bowl or not. It's a lot of pressure. That's how you make a legacy moment. By the way, speaking of pressure, speaking of overcoming legacy moments, how about Kyle Shanahan here? This right here is good stuff. Have a listen.
Fun. Oh yeah. See you on stage, man. I like it. I like it. It's a fun. Oh yeah. See you on stage, man. I like it. I like it.
So typically, John Lynch is the optimist in the relationship of John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. The fact that Kyle Shanahan said before the NFC Championship game, I'll see you on stage after the game, I think you could tell that John Lynch was a little taken aback by that. He chuckles a bit. He says, oh, I like that confidence. Not normally the type of personality that you see from Kyle, especially when he's locked in the game mode. I think that shows you how confident Kyle Shanahan is, not only in his old team, but in Brock Purdy. I mean, Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan have been such a fantastic mix. And I think it's all really illustrated by how awesome this 49ers offense has been. We can take a look at that right here. I mean, you don't get this far in the team tier chart without being a really damn good offense. And, let me show you the 2019 season. Let's put the 2019 season. Let's include the playoffs. We can include the entire Super Bowl. Let me show you how reminiscent the 49ers offense is of the Chiefs offense that year. I'm going to toss this up onto the screen. I just pulled it up in just a second. It's got to load. You have to be patient with me. So in 2019, this is what it looked like. Do you see where the Chiefs dot is? Over on the right by in the area of mediocre defense. Look at the 49ers dot up here. 49ers were a good offense and obviously a really good defense, but they weren't at the top of the league in either one. They were just probably the most balanced team in football in 2019. However, it was Kansas City's explosiveness that won the day in Super Bowl 54. Now, fast forward to this season. Keep your eyes on where the Chiefs and the 49ers are. This season, just here, let's do it this way. Just keep your eyes on this logo. Keep your eyes on the Chiefs logo. Just zero in on the Chiefs logo. All right. Look who replaced the Chiefs on the right, the 49ers logo. Now we're going to go back to 2019. Keep your eyes on the 49ers logo. Keep your eyes right here, 49ers logo. All right, here we go. Look who replaced the 49ers, the Chiefs. Trading Places. It's a good movie, Trading Places. But yeah, so you have the Chiefs and the 49ers trading places from 2019 to 2023. Will the Chiefs spy Brock Purdy? How much will they focus on containing him in the pocket after what he showed those last couple games? Well, some of the stuff wasn't design runs. It was escapes on third down, and it was textbook elusiveness from Brock Purdy too. I mean, the one where he got out and threw the Kyle Juszczyk at the sideline, you can't run better defense against that. Like schematically, it was just fine. You've got to bring Purdy down. Melifonwu on the blitz didn't bring him down. So really hard to scheme for Brock Purdy when he does something like that. The one that was really interesting to me was the third down that ended up putting the 49ers in the position for the winning touchdown, where Purdy escaped and Alex Anzalone dove and tried to go for his shoestrings but couldn't get him. In that one, I think the Lions probably were comfortable with what they had schemed up. They had a good coverage downfield. They had Anzalone in position to make a play on Purdy, but Purdy was just a little bit too fast for him. So if you start dedicating a spy to Brock Purdy, the 49ers have so many weapons that they can beat you with downfield that, to me, that becomes, that's a little bit of a fruitless endeavor, because then Brock Purdy can just throw. Somebody else is going to be open. So no, I don't think that you spy Brock Purdy. And yes, I think that means that you're vulnerable to being defeated again by his legs. He's already beaten a lot of teams with his legs. The media just hasn't been on this. I think we've been on it here, but the media hasn't been on this. They think, oh, Purdy, pick number 262. He can't possibly be a dual threat guy. He is a dual threat guy. I've been saying it for a long time. Been right about it. You saw the proof in the NFC Championship game, and that dual threat, since passing is way more important than running in this league, delivering from the pocket, that dual threat is exactly what the 49ers want it to be. There is a reason why the 49ers are way out here, better than every other NFL offense. And there are multiple reasons for it. But one of the reasons for it is that the 49ers have one of the best quarterbacks in the game. They have an elite quarterback in Brock Purdy. Of course, the Chiefs are going to try to run the ball down the 49ers' throats like the Packers and the Lions. Why wouldn't they? Until the 49ers prove that they can stop this, and they have the number 26 ranked run defense in the league, until they could prove they can stop this, every single opponent, and there's only one opponent left in this 2023 season, 2024 calendar year, right? Every opponent should try that. And, the Chiefs have also become more balanced since the last time they played the 49ers. It was Mahomes, the Tyreek Hill, explosive plays back in that 2019 season. Now Isaiah Pacheco can run the hell out of the football. 7th round pick, just like Brock Purdy. So, the run is the basis for everything in the NFL. It's the one way to be consistent, to be stable. It's the one way to really diffuse an opposing pass rush, with the defensive linemen outpacing the offensive linemen in terms of athleticism and skill in the modern game. Kansas City can run it. The 49ers have struggled to stop the run this year. They struggled more than I've ever seen a team struggle in a playoff game over the first half of that game against Detroit. That was ugly from the 49ers' perspective. It was even worse statistically than what the 49ers were doing to the Packers in that 2019 season's NFC Championship game. So, of course, teams are going to target that vulnerability against the 49ers. Why do I think the 49ers run defense has fallen? Well, new defensive coordinator Steve Wilks is a DB-focused guy. So I think he's brought a lot of focus to the pass defense. In the past, the 49ers had linebacker-focused guys, and Robert Saleh and D'Amico Ryans. That's naturally going to be a little bit closer to focusing on the run defense. Player acquisition like Javon Hargrave was to combat the pass. He's mainly a pass rusher, not quite as good of a run stopper. Eric Armstead has gotten hurt. He missed a lot of time, weeks 13 to 18. He's one of the most impactful run stoppers in the league. May not be playing at 100%. I'm not sure about that, but it's possible with the plantar fasciitis. That hurts the 49ers. And Talanoa Hufanga. Talanoa Hufanga was really good against the run. He had fixed a lot of those tackling issues. And he was really smart for the 49ers too. Tore his ACL though, and they've had a lot of missed tackles from the second level and missed angles from the second level and misalignments on the second level. And I think a combination of all those things has hurt the 49ers. But the one thing is they have relatively similar personnel as years prior, but I think Wilks is focusing on different things, and they've been better in some of the coverage combinations. They've been better. Some of the coverage adjustments from Steve Wilks have been really impressive this year, But the tumble and run defense, I mean, some of it definitely, the data just shows you that it has to come back to him. Also lost Sansom Ebukam after last year. He was really strong against the run. That's what Ian Sharp says, and I agree. I made a video about this. They had us in the first half, not going to lie. That was a fun video to make today. That one is up on the channel. Go ahead and check it out. '49ers at the Warriors game courtside. Well, that's cool. Unfortunately, the Warriors are not as watchable as they had been in the past. I wonder if Mike can send me a photo of that. I'll get it up for you guys. No worries, though, if he can't. The offense, I thought the first half problems against the Lions were because the interior line was getting pushed back. There was a lot of interior pressure, and it was disrupting things. Purdy, even on the completions and the bigger gains in the first half, he was moving around. Remember the big gainer to Kyle Juszczyk? It was a naked roll left, and Brock Purdy had to step up in the pocket, kind of maneuver around. He made a great play, but just there was too much pressure coming in from that backside, from the middle. Some of those sideline throws, a lot of pressure coming in. The 49ers, especially in a game like the NFC Championship, they're in past the set up the run mode. Number one run defense in football. The Lions play a lot of zone, a lot of base defense. You got to pass to loosen that up, but you got to protect the pass, especially successfully. And the 49ers just weren't in that successful mode. So they ran some tempo to get going in the second half. That alleviated some of the pass rush when they started running more off tempo. I think the momentum helped a lot. The momentum helped stymie a pass rush. And then once they softened the Lions up, they're able to run. Once you're able to run, you can go to that Shanahan balance that you have. And obviously, Purdy running the football in the second half was also a huge component. So even though the Lions were covering well with that zone, even though they were winning some of their pass rushing battles, Purdy, that's the next dimension, right? Purdy taking off with his legs. So that's how the 49ers were able to start getting the upper hand in the second half of that game. Go for broke. For the second half of the NFC Championship game, Brock Purdy's QBR was 99.1 out of a perfect 100. If he wasn't sacked twice in a row, it would have been higher. I mean, some of these stats are staggering. It is confirmed. We were correct. Brock Purdy is an elite quarterback. Wasn't that hard to figure out earlier in the season? All you had to do is look at some of the data. Do you guys want to look at the quarterback data right now? It's funny because some of the people that try to opine on this are extremely unqualified, and then they won't, they try to rebut something that we say here, and they don't present any data because they know what presenting the data would do as far as what path the conversation will go down. And to illustrate, I'll show you right now. The data for the quarterback position this year shows Brock Purdy far ahead. This is including the playoffs. This is including some of those so-called struggles. It shows Brock Purdy wildly far ahead of the rest of the league. And in a league that has a lot of parity, what you see right here is absolutely phenomenal. That's Purdy on the upper right. Mahomes is consistently in the upper right. Mahomes is really good, even though the receivers haven't been as good this year. But Purdy is at a different level for the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah, it's the perception versus data argument, but Purdy also looks really damn good. That's another thing. It's not like he looks bad on the field. He looks really good, and I have evidence of that right here. This is Aleem McNeil destroying Brock Purdy. And Purdy still delivering a bullet to Deebo Samuel. This is one of the most impressive throws made by any NFL quarterback this season. And we've seen this ever since Brock Purdy's very first action against the Miami Dolphins in 2022. Remember Jalen Phillips lighting him up on that third down and Purdy delivering while he was getting hit to George Kittle? He is tough. He's got accuracy. He's got vision. He has got the intelligence. He is an elite quarterback. Only elite quarterbacks can consistently make a play like this. And Brock Purdy consistently is making a play like this. This also illustrates the interior pressure that Brock Purdy was dealing with throughout most of that first half. So the 49ers had to start moving the spot. They had to start moving tempo, allow Purdy to run, get out of the pocket. I mean, he was really, really damn good. 99 QBR out of 100. Well, now this is amazing. In the NFC Championship game, Brock Purdy was pressured 15 times and he gained 127 yards during those pressures. Jared Goff was pressured 10 times and he lost 13 yards on those pressures. So that's a net difference of 140 yards because the 49ers had the QB who could play under pressure and the Lions didn't. This is exactly what we said leading up to the game. The 49ers in a 3-point game, 34-31, had a 140-yard advantage. Unbelievable. Really unbelievable. Former 49er Charles Omenihu is out with a torn ACL. That hurts the Chiefs' defense. It's a good defense, don't get me wrong. But we know Omenihu played some good football for the 49ers last year, and the Chiefs paid him $10 million a year. And, he missed the first 6 games with a suspension and then came along here as the season progressed. Now he's going to miss the Super Bowl. So, yes, Kansas City's edge rush is not going to be as strong without Charles Omenihu. So much poor analysis of Brock Purdy. I mean, it's not even like bragging on my part. It's just I'm astounded that we've been talking about this all season. We're one of the very few places that has been getting this right. And the data, this isn't anything new. The data has been in front of us all season. All people had to do was look at this to remove their biases from watching the tape or saying Brock Purdy's not tall enough or saying he wasn't drafted early enough or whatever. All they had to do is look at this and think, oh, maybe my insanely bad take on Brock Purdy isn't too hot. Maybe I need to rethink this. That's all that people needed to do. Yet they didn't do it. And they ended up, I mean, it was just tomfoolery for weeks, months. It's probably still more coming. But it's good to know that we were on the right side of history with this one. Yes. It's not even poor analysis, it's just fiction. There's just people that are delivering fiction. Be careful where you get your information from. The field will be wet after the halftime show like last year. That's interesting. Was it wet? I didn't realize that. I obviously didn't cover the Super Bowl last year. By the way, this Super Bowl, this is the Philadelphia Eagles' nightmare matchup. The two teams that ended Philadelphia's last 2 seasons are playing against each other. The Kansas City Chiefs, who ended Philadelphia's season in 2022, and the San Francisco 49ers, who ended Philadelphia's season in 2023. I think that the 49ers put Eric Armstead at edge for a couple snaps against the Detroit Lions. Kinlaw, and in that case, you would bench Chase Young. You might see a little bit more of that just because Eric Armstead is so damn versatile and good, and Kinlaw is playing so well. But Chase Young is still a good pass rusher. I mean, Chase Young is still a plus pass rusher. I don't think that he's a bottom tier pass rusher. I don't think that he's a top tier pass rusher anymore, but you still have some juice from him. And if Armstead can set a good edge against the run, which is something that he did earlier in his career, it's definitely something the 49ers might consider. Is this team better equipped for a potential Super Bowl victory compared to the 2019 one? Well, they're not as balanced, and I could just go back to this, but they're more explosive. They're where the Chiefs were a few years ago, and the Chiefs were favored over the 49ers, and the Chiefs won. So take that for what it's worth. All right, 45 minutes. That's a good length show. Everybody, thanks for watching. It was a really fun day. And you should like and subscribe. Thank you. Appreciate everybody. I have a lot of work to do. Maybe I stay on for a couple more minutes if you guys want me to. Why don't I here? I'll be right back. I need some water, and I could probably go for a couple more minutes. So if I need some water, I could do this, and I could put the banner up. Don't go anywhere. Lombardi will be right back. I tell people not to go anywhere, but of course, 200 of you left. Told you I wouldn't be gone for all that long, but still, a lot of people left. Oh well, it's all good. Maybe we'll start picking viewers back up. But the water tastes great. I have it in the cup right here. And I am back, so I could take off this message. We can go back to 49ers Q&A. How much did the 49ers work in Elijah Mitchell in the big game? I think only as much as you need to. I think Christian McCaffrey might have been hurting it a bit at the end of the last game, and they tossed Elijah Mitchell in to score that touchdown. He vultured that touchdown from Christian McCaffrey. But McCaffrey is one of the great players to ever play this game. One of the great running backs for sure. So you don't take him out unless you have to. 16 of the last 19 Super Bowl winners have worn white jerseys. The Chiefs were one of the 3 that wore their colored jerseys. So that's something to keep in mind. But the 49ers are wearing white in this game. We got a question about the draft, but I'm not going to answer this. I just think it's funny. I promise you, if you got your Italian flag in there, I love it. If you come back after the Super Bowl when we're talking about the draft, I'll answer your question, but we can't do that right now. Yeah, Smith has been a liability. Something like 20 penalties this year. Of course, they're going to try to attack every matchup they can get. So you've got Bosa. I don't think you line any of the tackles up on the side unless Eric Armstead sees some action at edge. But of course, you're going to try to target some weaknesses. All right. I think that 49 minutes is perfect. You guys are awesome. We'll talk to you really soon.